What's new with you?
Quick question, actually, unrelated. When you said yesterday that you would do the space like half hour, just open, and then move to subscriber time, right? Are you able to switch the space while it's going into that? I'm just trying to learn that.
Oh, that's a good point. I'll have to probably create a new space for subscribers. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can switch it, you know?
Yeah, I don't think so. And you would have to migrate everybody halfway through, which would be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So did you look into Toll Brothers at all?
I just looked.
Give
Go
me
ahead.
1 second. Yeah, lots and lots of connection issues today. Anyway, did you look into Toll Brothers?
Yeah, just in the passing, like I said, I mean, I don't own it. I don't really follow it, but it looks like, the earnings were not bad. The sales were actually up year over year. I just think there's a slight contraction coming in, and that's what people are seeing, and that's why the stock kind of got punished.
Yeah, I think their guidance was lower than people expected.
Correct.
Yeah. What do you think about the housing market in general? Do you think that's something that's going to turn south anytime soon?
Well, what do you mean in terms of turn south, right?
Prices go down.
Okay. I do think prices will go down,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of any crisis or collapse, that could also happen, but we would need a significant macro event. Unemployment really picking up, recession, deeper recession than most are predicting or could imagine, something like that. And then, of course, we could see that bubble into it. But I just don't see that same kind of a crisis coming up otherwise.
Yeah. XAI, go ahead. XAI impact, go ahead. You have to unmute yourself for us to hear you. Okay.
I don't even see him on the. Oh, now I do. Okay.
Yeah, XAI, can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to connect with you, Yemen. I have a community I'd like you to give me some guidance on, but I can't DM you.
Yeah, I don't really do DMs with anyone, and there's only like a couple people who are able to DM me from like previous interactions, but most of the DMs are kind of deleted. And if you have a question, you can just ask me here.
Well, sure. We just crossed like 4,600 members in the Elon Musk community. And now with the communities, we can do spaces. And I really, really like and appreciate what you've done here. And I just wanted to connect with you maybe on a more one-on-one basis to get some ideas from you and maybe have you co-host with me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hosting Tesla Live. That's all I want to do. But do you have a question about Tesla or other stocks? I know we had some exchanges on inflation. Tomorrow we have the inflation numbers coming out. What do you think?
I think we're still going to come in hot. Yeah, I can't see them lowering interest rates going forward.
Well, the markets are pricing in 90% of a rate cut probability for the next meeting, which is in about a week. So you think that's going to flip after the inflation report?
We'll have to see what's coming. There's just so many things going on right now. We have an overheated housing market, but they're talking about deporting all these new people that are competing for the housing. So maybe it's right. Maybe they're doing the right thing. I don't know.
Thank you. ACDC, do you have any comments on tomorrow's inflation figures?
Yeah, so I do see them coming a little elevated. I see 2.8 on CPI and 3.3, maybe even 3.4 on core. But of course, the Fed's still going to, that rate I think is already kind of baked in, and we will get that. But, the new administration is going to have to take a look at this. People just start kind of blindly saying, Trump trade, Trump economy, and everything. And I'm one of the biggest Trump supporters, but he has no magic wand here to fix a lot of things. You gotta take this pill, and it's going to produce a little, and go through the pain of all this irresponsible spending that we went through for the last 4 years. So there's going to be, because they're caught, right? They're going to cut government spending, which escalated a lot of the growth or helped in the growth. Okay. And while they have to still spur domestic growth. Well, cutting the spending is easier than spurring growth. So there's going to be a little bit of a lag in there. And where we are with inflation numbers, if they continue cutting rates, this inflation could, just bounce right back up. So it's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of things that they have to juggle, and it's just not as easy as people are giving it, or taking it for.
XAI. So core inflation right now is closer to 3%. Do you see that changing anytime soon?
No. No, I don't think it'll come down. I know energy's come down. We'll just have to see how things play out. But I think maybe the Fed is doing the right thing by cutting rates. We'll just have to see.
I mean, what was the one, not a bet, but you were very adamant that the Fed should not cut rates, right? And I was saying they were going to cut 50 basis points, and then they did end up cutting 50 basis points. But then I think we had a different disagreement. What was that about?
No, I think we were just disagreeing. Just we've had a long period of heightened rates, which is nice, but it didn't have its typical impact on the economy. And that's where my concern came in.
Yeah, that makes sense. X is having some audio issues, so you can watch on YouTube if you're having audio issues as a listener on X. If you're having listener issues, audio issues on X, you can watch it on YouTube. The video on YouTube is fine. Except, what do you mean by it didn't have the impact, intended impact on the economy?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. If we look at historically, higher interest rates generally impact the stock market. It's commonly said, don't fight the Fed, but it should impact housing prices. It should have impacted the market overall. And all it really did is maybe prevent that big spike at the top. But I feel like we're in a bubble. Like the bubble didn't burst, though. That's where my concern.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you define what you mean by we're in a bubble?
Okay, so I own property. I own several properties. Okay, and they've gone up by more than 100%, which feels to me excessive. Like considering what it costs to buy a home still today, and the fact that every house in my neighborhood that's come up for sale has sold, and there's none for sale now, just suggests to me that there is an impending doom waiting to happen, and maybe that'll be triggered by adjustable rate mortgages soon. I don't really know, but I just feel like something would have to give here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't know if you're aware of this, I shorted Toll Brothers last night before they released their earnings. and their guidance was on the weaker side. So, I think that's kind of in line with what we're expecting here. ACDC was all against the idea of shorting Toll Brothers because, even though it's overvalued, they're fundamentally well-run companies, ACDC said, and it's not the best short idea. But I agree with the XA. I think the housing market is about to turn down, unless we start getting some really amazing inflation numbers, which I just don't foresee at this point in time. I think wage inflation is still high, and unemployment rate is going to have to go a little higher, I think, to kind of work out that inflation pressures coming from the wage side. So, anything? Do you agree, disagree with anything I said here? XAI and then ACDC.
No, I don't. I don't necessarily disagree with anything.
So then, why are you long stocks if you think interest rates will stay high for a while?
I'm not. I'm not long. I mean, I am long, but I'm not increasing my positions right now.
ACDC, what do you think?
In terms of Toll Brothers or him being long stocks?
Toll Brothers, inflation expectations, interest rates, and being long stocks.
Yeah, so Toll Brothers, like I told you, I mean, if I had it, I would sell it. I mean, you're asking me, and about a short. I don't short. Plus, I mean, it depends. I mean, you can't buy an ETF to just go short on this, which would be a little cost-effective way to do it. So if you're going short on margin, you are also bearing the cost of margin. So when I look at how much downside this could have, I mean, you would need to really crush it. It would have to really collapse or something in the short term. So that's my whole thesis on short. I think it's a great sell right now. So that's all it is on in terms of Toll Brothers. Interest rates, I honestly don't know. I mean, the next cut is already locked in. After that, there's no administration that's going to come in and also want to let's just stop the interest rate, cuts here. They like it. They love it. They don't want any stimulus. So that's where they need to stop it, especially if inflation keeps creeping up here like it is. But I'm not sure if they will. And that's the tricky part, So if they continue cutting interest rates, which I think will continue to happen, it is going to take up inflation further. A lot of other macro events have already started playing in. There's a REIT that I follow and I actually hold. It's the NNN. It's the largest REIT, one of the most historic REITs out there with a great dividend attached to it. And maybe actually I can also talk to that if he knows about it. But they just announced two of their customers have filed for bankruptcy, and a lot of their rents have been reduced. Okay, this is a very defensive REIT. They basically buy strip malls of very well-run businesses. These are triple net leases. Okay, and they're having trouble. So there's a lot of trouble brewing underneath, which we're just starting to see. And I think that only continues because how are you going to do it? You either keep the rates low, inflation goes higher, or you got to spur up growth intentionally that the inflation, people are numb to the inflation. And that's a tough task right now.
So why are you long stocks?
So I'm very, very cautiously long stocks, and my exposure to stocks is probably lower than it's ever been. Okay. I'm picking up some yield instruments at times. The stocks and sectors where I'm long are very calculated. Just to give you an idea, I'm just looking at Comcast right now. Okay. Comcast just took a big dip here after they had a little dip in subscriber base here. But that's a great cash flow company. Okay. I think that's a company that can weather the recession well. And they're offloading a lot of non-performing assets, with MSNBC and such, right? So the stocks that I'm long are very, very calculated. My risk level stocks are the lowest ever. Money market balance is the highest ever. So, you'll always find some stocks that'll perform well, even in really, really bad markets, right? And that's the bet that I'm trying to make, basically. But overall, I am bearish on the market and most stocks.
I mean, if there's a recession, every stock will go down unless it's a company that actually benefits from a recession. Can you think of any companies like that?
If it's a deep recession, yeah, literally the whole market will go down. Okay. But there's as much of an expert that I think I am, I'm not, okay, in terms of timing the market. Okay. My end goal is to make my clients money, no matter what the markets are doing, and still get some sort of consistent return. And that's why at times like this, I prefer stocks that have dividends to them, good cash flow to them, so that they can at least still continue to getting paid while you weather a recession.
Yeah. XAI?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the, I don't know if it was a REIT you were talking about earlier, if an index fund, but one I have followed is called Tanger Outlets. I don't know what their ticker symbol is, but during the pandemic or whatever, they fell hard, like $4 or $5 a share. They're up around 38 right now. And yeah, when I looked it up, I was shocked actually at how well they've recovered. So I think there's a lot of room for correction. And then when you asked, what stock might perform well in a recession, let's talk about let's go to the bar. I would probably say like Anheuser-Busch or some familiar beverage company like that.
That's pretty funny. I don't know if bars will do well. I think bars would probably outperform restaurants in a recession, but I don't think it's necessarily a consumer defensive play. People downgrade to maybe Walmart, or like if they're shopping at Target, maybe they start shopping at Walmart. Maybe Dollar General stores could see a tailwind in a recession. But I can't really imagine that, like, definitely a company that definitely benefits from a recession. I don't know. ACDC?
Yeah, so the boost trade is, widely known as a good trade and probably one of the few trades for the recessionary market. So yeah, not really bars per se, but these companies that are selling liquor, they definitely do. It's just a known fact, the worse people are feeling, the more they're drinking. So companies like Diageo in the past, have done well. And a lot of companies. But of course, you have to look at it. It's not an absolute thing, right? A lot of these companies have also been trading at a premium recently because their liquor sales have also gone up with all these new liquors, seltzer liquors and everything. And it also does well on the same token where a lot of people are making good money and getting premium liquor too, right? But I mean, I do agree with that. And that's why I think a couple calls spaces ago, I mentioned that one of the positions that I had added was Molson Brewery, symbol is TAP, TAP.
All right. Let me ask ChatGPT what companies would do well in a recession. What companies, or list the companies whose stocks may go up in a recession. Certain companies tend to perform better due to essential nature of their products and services, leading to more stable revenues. So you're talking about consumer staples, healthcare, and utilities. So on consumer staples, Walmart, Mondelez International, owner of brands like Oreo and Cadbury. Okay. Healthcare, Johnson & Johnson, GSK, utilities, WEC Energy Group. and discount retailers like Dollar General, which is what I mentioned. I mentioned Walmart and I mentioned Dollar General. And then technology, Netflix. As a provider of affordable entertainment, Netflix has historically outperformed during recessions as consumers seek cost-relative leisure options. That's interesting, isn't it? That's kind of interesting play. Let's look at Netflix. What do you think about Netflix, ACDC?
It's a very high priced stock, but I think they're going to continue to grow. There's literally no leader, no competitor to them at that level. There's a lot of these companies that have tried, come and gone, and I still think on a global level, which is where their market penetration is still on the lower side, there's a lot of potential there. So trades at a high premium. I don't own it, and but I think it has some potential to it.
Yeah. Well, Netflix stock is up a lot in the last year or two. So the stock came down as much as to $170, and now it's at 916. So that's an increase of they quintupled, more than quintupled in the last year and a half. That's incredible. Actually, no, two and a half. Wait, yeah, 2.5 years. That's really incredible. That's after going from 690 to 170 in a matter of months. This is a very volatile stock too. ACDC?
Right. And then it also comes down to what kind of a recession we're going through, right? If it's a severe recession, then yes, people will cut their even lower tiered ad based Netflix subscription, anything to save any money from anywhere. So it will suffer. So it all depends on the degree of recession that we see.
Yeah. XAI?
Yeah, I mean, I love Netflix long term. I hate Netflix today. I think their only real I think the only way they're going to grow now is by raising prices, and that's probably not going to win in the economy we're looking at going forward.
That's a really good point. XAI, what do you think about Netflix's ability to incorporate some of the, like, for example, Sora was released yesterday by OpenAI. I don't know if anyone has tried it. It seems to be doing okay. It's not going to take off in use right now, but maybe next few versions will improve. How do you think that impacts Netflix stock?
I don't know. I need some time to really play with that, but it's a good question. It's a great question.
Yeah.
So
ACDC?
yeah, man. I don't have Sora, but I just saw some of the videos that were created on X. This thing is amazing. What it's putting out. A couple of the Tesla commercials that I saw. This thing will absolutely flip over the media industry. And company is, as far as it relating to Netflix, that's a huge plus for Netflix. Content creation is one of their main costs, right? And that's something that they can literally reduce costs on and create endless content. Granted, it's not there yet, like you're saying, but after seeing this, it's only going to get there. It's just a matter of when. So this is going to change so many industries, and that's where, like, when we talk about AI, I think as Tesla enthusiasts, we only focus on like a couple of things, whether it's a self-driving car or a humanoid robot, right? But the applications, which some of the things you cover on your AI amateurs, it's endless. And what more people should focus on are what are these early applications that are already coming into play and are already been being proved every single day, and how will those things change the industry here?
Yeah. For those of you having audio issues on X, you can listen on YouTube. The link is at the top of your screens. YouTube seems to have perfect audio. X just has a lot of bugs, and sometimes we have really bad audio on X. So you're welcome to listen to the space on YouTube if you're having audio issues on X. All right, Matt Senko. Amy, welcome. How are you?
Hi, good.
Amy, how is the audio on YouTube right now?
I'm not on YouTube yet.
Oh, okay. ACDC, Matt Senko says from YouTube, a recession affects the poor disproportionately to the rich. Good investments in a recession are those that the rich can't live without. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a really good take, I think. Thanks, Brian, for letting me know that the audio on YouTube is good. So what would be an investment that the rich can't live without? What's a product service that's rich can't live without in case there's a recession? I'm trying to see if I can buy some stocks that are on the long side to kind of hedge the risk of overall markets going up against my shorts. ACDC?
So I completely agree that the recession works its way from the bottom up, but that's already been playing out, right? The consumer, the lower end consumer has already been struggling because of a lot of the inflationary pressures, okay? And I think part of this, a lot of this economy has been held up by the middle, upper middle to the upper class, okay? Finally, you're seeing cracks in it. And yes, they do suffer, okay? One of the commodities that I'll tell you, I'll call it a commodity, is a Rolex watch, right? It's one of the best luxury pieces that you can buy that appreciates actually, right? And then you look at the cost, the price of it, what happened last time in 2022, okay? It actually came down significantly. Part of the reason was all this wealth creation with Bitcoin and stuff. Same people who were buying Bitcoin and lavishing in the riches want the new Rolex on their wrist too, right? So we're already starting to see cracks in it. I forgot the article that I was just reading recently on the luxury markets that they've already started seeing some cracks on the luxury market. So that's going to suffer along with it. If you want to go long, my idea would be to go into something a little bit more defensive in nature. I talked about this in terms of the utility sector. I think the utility sector is an absolute essential sector, right? No matter recession or whatnot, we still need power, energy, and all of that generation to survive. And I think they're going to continue to get the boost from all the power requirements of the AI side. So the sector's kind of backed down a little bit. It has gone up quite a lot, but that was after a terrible year in 2023. So I still think that's a very defensive nature. And usually those companies also pay a good dividend too. So
Yeah, that's true. Utility stocks are a good play in a recession. You're right, and one of them is actually one of the top performers in the entire stock market. Lucia, welcome. How are you?
Yaman, do you know that as a listener, the space doesn't work, right?
Yeah, I'm aware. If somebody is having audio issues, which I think most people, they're welcome to head over to YouTube and listen there. YouTube audio is perfectly fine. It's just X bugs. Who knows why? You know. Luce, are you feeling FOMO on the Tesla stock price rise?
Well, Yaman, yes or not? I mean, there are moments like in 15 minutes that I get depressed, thinking that I'm wrong. But the majority of the time, I think I made the right choice. Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
ACDC?
So Luce, I can completely relate to how you're feeling, okay? But this is a time when it's so easy and everybody else is greedy, right? To stick to your discipline and have a belief in it, okay? And that's what kind of like gets you through it. So I can completely relate to what you're going through, but in my opinion, you did the right thing. Of course, did you time it perfectly? No, nobody really can. But you had a belief system, and that's really, really important. If you have that and you have some sort of a discipline, You may go wrong a little bit here or there, but you'll avoid a lot of big mistakes.
Yaman, does the hands work, or can I?
Yeah, the hands work for. Go ahead.
Oh. Thanks, ACDC. Yeah. Also, I mean, while not being in Tesla, I feel like I'm looking at other possibilities. And I think Tesla is not even the best, it doesn't even have this big reward at this point, other than the price increase since I sold. But thank you, bro. Thank you.
Okay. ACDC, to kind of push back a little bit, and which Optimus development is progressing well. What do you think about the upside potential that adds to the Tesla stock? Lucia, go ahead.
Well, Yaman, I will tell you this. Like Optimus in the video of yesterday did something that Boston Dynamics did 10 years ago, neural net or not. And I don't understand all the hype behind that video and the fact that the Optimus can balance himself. I don't think it's a big deal.
Well, when Boston Dynamics does it, they're doing it with $1 million bot. When Tesla does it, they're doing it with something potentially scalable to the masses. So that's the difference, right?
Well, we don't know yet if what they're doing is scalable to the masses yet.
I mean, why would Tesla be taking on this production project if it's not good scalable to millions of people around the world? Like they wouldn't do it if otherwise. They wouldn't even start the project, right?
Correct, but like with anything, Cybertruck, they started with, I don't know, what was 30,000, 40,000 as a price target, and by the time they got to it, it was 80,000, right? So we don't know what the price of this would be at the scalable price, and that $1 million Boston Dynamics robot that you're talking about, that was like 10 years ago, like Lucia is saying. So they can put it into a dog form, into this form, that form, and it's no longer $1 million robot anymore. They've also scaled their costs down.
Yeah. So you think Boston Dynamics is going to that? I don't know if that makes any sense. You see Boston Dynamics as a major player 5-10 years from today?
I see a lot of different players in this market, because the initial market that I see of it for any sort of humanoid robotics, right? Because we already have robotics in industrial application, but any other industrial application of, would Boston Dynamics and all these other companies can also do that. I mean, if you think about it, right? What extra help does a humanoid actually offer in an industrial application, right? From walking from one place to the other, you could literally have robots like on belt drives, just cruising from one place to the other also.
Lucia, we have a question by Kevin King for you in YouTube live chat. Kevin asks, if Boston Dynamics had that technology 10 years ago, why haven't they been able to commercialize it by now?
It's very simple. So one thing is the technology to balance a robot, okay? Another thing is the ability of making the robot do many different tasks that will come with AI. And so basically, the ability of balance a robot was there 10 years ago, but not the generalized ability of doing anything, let's say. So, yeah.
Okay. The response I have from Brian Silver. Brian Silver says in YouTube live chat. By the way, if you guys are having audio issues, and today seems to be extra bad on X, head over to YouTube. YouTube has perfect audio. Brian Silver says Boston Dynamics is not a production company, and that makes sense, right? So I don't think they even talked about getting their robots, humanoids, to scale, millions of scale. I think the primary competition is going to be coming from Figure AI. I think Figure AI is going to be Waymo to Tesla's Optimus, and they're backed by NVIDIA, OpenAI, Microsoft, Jeff Bezos, and a bunch of others. And they're partnering with BMW to start testing in their factories as well. Tesla has obviously the vertically integrated solution, so it's all under one roof. So it's going to have an advantage versus the others in the longer term. But there's also going to be some competition coming from Chinese robot makers as well. ACDC.
And that's where I think Tesla will have the advantage. I don't think at the end of the day it'll be a hardware advantage to humanoids. It'll be who has the best software and who has the smartest humanoid. So kind of like what I was talking about at the end of the call space yesterday about agentic AI, right? That's basically where you're utilizing AI to perform independent tasks, including decision making and complex tasks and multi-step tasks. And whoever solves that the best, that's the company that'll have an advantage in terms of a humanoid.
Okay. Amy, what do you think?
I thought the video I just saw of Optimus walking down a hill, that was pretty amazing. They're making great progress.
Amy, when do you think Tesla will produce the 10,000th Optimus?
I maybe 2028. They seem to be kind of slow moving this. I'm not real optimistic right now.
XAI, what do you think? When do you think Tesla will produce the 10,000th Optimus?
That's so hard. When will their 10,000th Roadster hit the road? They'll have to create a need, and I don't know when they're going to be able to do that.
Okay. So you don't have an answer to the question?
I can't give you an answer because I don't think it. As it stands today, a $30,000 Optimus with what I've seen, I wouldn't buy it.
Okay. So Amy's at 2028. Lucia, what do you think?
2029.
Okay. ACDC?
I think it'll be earlier. I think it's within the next year or so. This is 10,000. This isn't a mass production. This is something that they could literally produce for just training purposes across all their factories, all their Tesla centers, in their headquarters, anywhere. And so this is something that will be utilized as a step up towards mass production, and it'll be earlier.
Amy, ACDC says earlier, and yesterday when we talked about this, Wes and Machine and one more person, I can't remember who, also agreed that Tesla will produce 10,000th Optimus next year in 2025. What do you think about that? Wes used to work at Tesla. He knows a bit about technology and production.
Well, where are we as the number now? I'm not that familiar with where the number is now.
A few dozen.
Do they have an assembly line set up yet?
I don't think so. I think it's kind of manually put together so far.
I think they're going to have an assembly line. They're going to have to announce something more concrete before I'm going to say they're going to have 10,000, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Are you, go ahead.
I was going to say, when is the next call?
Third week of January, end of January. Are
Hopefully
you
we'll have
long
something
Tesla
more.
right now?
Yeah, I'm still long Tesla.
As long as you've ever been?
I've always been long Tesla. Yeah, I made a good amount of money because I got in like in 2018, and I have sold
Right.
some to raise some money, but not a lot. I don't have that many shares.
Oh, I see. Okay. When did you sell some to raise money?
Oh, excuse me, what?
When did you sell some to raise money?
Um, it was actually before this big pop, but it had gone up. I think it was at 260 or something, and that's when I sold.
Yeah.
So yeah, I missed a little bit there.
Mm-hmm. Luce, you sold at around that price too, right?
I sold around 350, bro. 350.
Oh, was it that high? Okay. What would it take for you to short the stock?
It's so hard to short the stock, honestly, Yaman. I don't think I will ever short the Tesla stock. I don't think I ever will.
ACDC agrees with you, it seems. XAI, what about you? Are you long the stock as long as you've ever been? What's your kind of price target?
I am not directly long Tesla, but I definitely would not short it. I think long term, it's a wonderful company to own. And right now, I think it's very difficult to justify where it's trading at.
So you're running a community, you said, of, let me go to Lucia first. Lucia?
No, it was something after this. Continue. It's a comment after this topic.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I wanted to talk about the fact that the more time passed, the more I'm looking at the fact that Tesla will have an incredible amount of competition when it comes to Optimus and autonomous vehicles. And people don't seem to realize that, but autonomous vehicles are coming from everywhere. Amazon, Google, Tesla, China. Everybody is developing. Toyota as well. Everybody is making their own autonomous vehicles, and people don't seem to realize that even if Tesla is ahead 1 or 2 years, an enormous amount of competition will come, and they think it's going to go to 9 trillion or something like that.
Okay. XAI, so you're running a community of Elon Musk fans. How many people you said?
4,500.
That's amazing. Congratulations. I mean, you recently started this, didn't you?
Yes, I started it 2 months ago.
Okay. I mean, don't you think it's, so you're going to be doing spaces. When's that going to be?
Well, I'd like to do spaces, but I haven't committed to doing anything yet.
Yeah. Why do you want me to be co-host?
I think you do a nice job of organizing and running the show.
Yeah. I tried to co-host a space before, and it just isn't the same when I don't have I wasn't allowed to mute people in that space. I was like, okay, this is stupid. People are just gonna take over and say nonsensical stuff all the time then. So I was like, I can't do this after 1-2 episodes. So co-hosting doesn't work for me. I tried that before. But I wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you're having audio issues on X, head over to YouTube. Sound quality on YouTube is much better. All right, let's see if we have any questions from Turta T asks, who will be first to produce 10,000 humanoid robots? Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Probably Tesla, but who knows? ACDC?
I just wanted to check if you wanted to enter our discussion on why 99% of the people who don't own EVs are morons.
Yeah, that works. Let's do it. Yeah, so I think that so for an average American that drives more than 10,000 miles, if you include gas savings, so let's take the used EVs that I posted. So you can get a used Model 3 today with less than 100,000 miles, say 70, 80,000. Those are asking price, by the way, for $19,000, even less in some places, like in cities that there's a lot of liberal population. They're kind of dumping their Teslas. And you can get one for as low as $18,000. 2022 Model 3 rear-wheel drive, 80,000 miles on it, or 78, 79,000 miles on it. And these are asking prices, like I said, so you can, lowball them, see if you can get one for 17,000. And this car is going to have 5 to 10 years of useful life. So, one battery, I think, lasts about 200,000, 300,000. If you care properly for it, you can kind of check the battery, see, how much life there's on it. So let's say 100,000, 150,000 miles left on it, right? So let me see. 150,000 divided by, let's say, 30 miles per gallon times $3 per gallon. That right there is $15,000 of gas savings, and your electricity cost is going to be about $5,000. So you'll save $10,000 just on gas, and then there's going to be maintenance savings on top of that. And since we're talking about a used car, your maintenance savings are going to be higher than the first 5 years of the car. So in just 5-10 years, and 150,000 miles is enough for 10 years of life, you're going to save just on gas savings and maintenance savings alone. You're going to be saving a lot. Basically, the price that you paid for the Tesla. That's why I think it's kind of like free. So I think that's why I think people. Sometimes I get the argument that these are not affordable cars. People may not have the money for it, etc. But gas savings are day one savings. Immediately, as soon as you get the car, you start saving. So go ahead.
Okay, so I haven't done the math the way you did it, but I'll just walk you through my math here. Okay.
Just give me 1 second before you do. For those of you who are having audio issues, head over to YouTube. YouTube quality is so much better. ACDC, go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, one thing that I want to say is, and I already just get ticked off by this statement when anybody starts like villainizing the people who don't own EVs, okay? Because that's 99% of the total cars in the country are non-EVs, okay? So starting off the conversation, that way is not productive, okay? And it's not good for, promoting EVs. Like when I talk to my friends, I always tell them, hey, this is why it's good for my use. Tell me about your use, okay? And okay, it may be good, or it'll be good in this purpose and maybe not good for such purpose, and so on and forth, okay? So right off the bat, that, I don't know, that just ticks me off. But okay, just down to the math here.
Well, that part of it is kind of just for to grab attention. As soon as you grab
Okay.
attention and people go to the replies, they start reading about the math. That's an easy way to get people to read the math, as opposed to saying, like in person. Obviously, I don't say that, right? In person, if I'm talking to one person at a time, 2 or 5, 10 people at a time, I don't start out that way because I already have their attention. But to get attention on social media, to get traction on social media, sometimes that works. So overall, a meme like that works better in spreading the knowledge that what I said in gas savings, maintenance savings alone, you're going to save as much as the price you're paying for the car. Try saying that, and it doesn't gain traction. For those of you in X audience, head over to YouTube for better sound quality. ACDC, go ahead.
All right, so let's just get down to the math, okay? So I think you mentioned it yourself that the average commuter drives 50 miles a day.
Yeah,
take
I mean,
that?
the average American drives about 15,000 miles a year.
Okay, so like 50, let's just go easy math, 50 miles a day. That comes to around over 15,000, right?
Yeah, I mean, but see, the thing is, like, the 50 miles a day is for average commute. Okay, the average American doesn't do the average commute. If you talk about the people in their 30s, 40s, like the working age, they actually drive 17, 18,000. So yeah, average commute is about 50 miles a day.
Okay, you said 50, right? 50?
Correct.
Okay, so 50 miles, and I did the math. I've already done the math in my market, so I did the math in your market of Austin. Okay, a Tesla Model 3, and I'm going to be generous here, and anybody on the panel here who owns a Tesla can chime in with their own experience. Okay, but it gives you about 4 miles to the kilowatt. Okay, kilowatt is what you pay for when you go charging. I'm sorry, what?
Kilowatt hour, not kilowatt.
Yeah, kilowatt hours. Okay, right. What's the price at your Austin superchargers?
Free overnight. If you're charging at home, free. Majority of Americans, 2/3 of Americans live in a single family home. They have parking garages, and you can get a solar panel and have it for free. Okay, your marginal cost of electricity would be for free.
Okay, now you're talking about installing a solar panel and everything.
If you want to depreciate, it comes to about a few cents per kilowatt hour over the useful life. Okay, but the thing is, like in Texas, overnight electricity is free. Okay, and in some parts of the country, that is true. But that's not the math I did. Remember, I actually took the average cost of electricity per kilowatt hour across the U.S. And when you do that, it comes to about 1/3 the gasoline cost. Okay, 1/3 the gasoline cost you pay for electricity if you use average. But you have the optionality to put solar panels and depreciate that over the useful life, and that comes to about a few cents. You're saving a lot more. And I already assumed $5,000 of electricity cost over 10 years, so $500 per year, and that's the average cost of an EV per year. Average miles. Go ahead.
So I'm not talking about people who own single and family homes. Okay,
Why
people
not?
who are
That's
buying an
majority of the
$18,000
people.
car could be renting, right? What if you're renting? Where are you charging them?
Well, most Americans live in single family homes. But if you're renting in Austin, you still have overnight free charging in condo buildings. Like in my building, we had free charging. And a lot of buildings in Austin have free charging. A lot of people across the country have charging at work. You can charge at work. So there's a lot of options.
There's no free charging anywhere. If your condo building is giving you free charging, they're building it into your rent. Okay.
I understand, but you still have the option. Like you're living in that rent, and you're getting it. Like I don't think you're understanding. Like Texas actually has free overnight charging.
Teslas do not have any free overnight charging. Okay, their overnight rates in Austin drop to 20 cents, and on average are anywhere from 30 to 33 cents during the daytime.
You're talking about supercharging. I'm talking about residential overnight charging. Because Texas allows excess renewable energy during the night for wind power because of wind power. And this is going to be increasingly the case across the country. So, but again, that's not the argument here because I already assumed $500 a year of electricity cost for the EV.
It's not $500 a year for electricity cost.
I mean, what percent of Tesla's fleet do you think charges at superchargers on average?
There's all these superchargers that are busy by me. These are people who don't have home charging. That's where they're charging. I mean, and I don't know exactly, like I looked at the rates in Austin market, but I'm in Illinois. Illinois is probably more friendly towards EVs than Texas is. Okay, they have a lot of rebates. They have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of spending geared towards EV adoption here. And there is no such thing as like free charging anywhere.
Okay, I mean, again, like it's not about free charging. That's the kind of added bonus. My math doesn't assume that. I'm assuming the average kilowatt hour cost in the US, the average miles per driver in the US, and the optionality of solar panels, optionality of having free charging in some states overnight. Those are added bonuses. But what I'm proposing to you is that between gas savings and maintenance savings per year, a Tesla, a used Tesla versus a used ICE is going to save you $1,000 a year. So over 10 years, sorry, more than 1,000, more like $1,500 a year. So over 10 years, that's $15,000. And that comes out to basically the cost you're paying for the price of the car. A used Model 3 with less than 100,000 miles that still has 150,000 miles on the battery. And if you just replace the battery when it comes due, that's $10,000. You get another 250,000 miles, and you save way more than the cost of the battery if you do any of that stuff. And the fact is, when people get EVs, they drive more, and they save more every time they drive. So, like this,
yeah, man, they don't save more when they drive more. Okay, when you're charging at superchargers, look around the whole country. Okay,
no,
you can look at the cost of
not many people
supercharging.
Not many people do that.
Where else people are charging? I charge at a supercharger because that's my only option to charge publicly.
You still live in Chicago? You live in an apartment building, condo building?
No, I live in a single family home and I charge at home. But anytime I'm traveling long distance, I have to charge at a supercharger.
But how often do you do that, though? I mean, an average American does that once a year, maybe.
That's the average American who buys a new EV. We're talking about used EVs, okay? Mm-hmm. People who are looking for an $18,000 car, like you're saying, okay? Mm-hmm. A lot of them do not live in single-family homes, can't put solar panels. They will be charging in public charging. And the 30 cents to 45 cents per kilowatt per hour that I'm telling you, okay, that's Tesla supercharging. You go to EV America and all of these other chargers, they're even higher. They're 45, 55 cents. When you calculate the costs on that, okay, at the 50-mile commute that I was talking about, right? If you take it at 4 miles per kilowatt, okay, you're at 12.5 kilowatts. Multiply that, okay, by 30 cents, okay, you're at around 360, 380. You take a Toyota Corolla, okay, which gives you 30 city, 40 highway, okay, and in your market, at gas at $2.25 a gallon, you're literally slightly less on a gas cost.
Yeah, okay? But you're driving a fucking Corolla.
Do you think these people are looking at what they're driving versus what's saving them money or what's not a headache for them to go charge for like 45 minutes?
Who the fuck wants to drive a Corolla over a Tesla
Well,
Model 3?
yeah, man, maybe that's where you're disconnected with the market, okay?
Let me ask you something. What do you think is the cheapest price of a used Tesla today in the US? That you asking price?
It could be anything. It could be a 2006 Model S.
Something that goes. Like it's not a freaking, not like junkyard.
I don't know. You could probably pick up something for $10,000, $12,000.
$9,000 asking price today. And you day one, as you drive off the lot, you start saving on gas. Come on. Let me get a couple hands. Let me get a couple hands real quick. For those of you having audio issues on X, head over to YouTube. YouTube audio quality is perfect. Amy.
Yeah, I just want to say that the numbers. ACDC said 99% of the cars on the road are gas cars, but it's much closer to 92%. So it's growing.
That's right. And
wait. Where do you get the 92%? I'm not talking about new registrations. I'm talking about total registrations on the road. As of 2023,
total on the road.
As of 2023, it was 0.86. I'll post an article on that. I'll post it.
Amy's saying ICE, so I'm guessing she's excluding hybrids. And Amy, is that right?
I'm just saying that I know that it's around 8 to 7% of EVs are on the road. That's what
you're saying. 8 to 7% of all vehicles on the road today. So you're talking, there's about 300 million plus cars in the US. You're saying that can't possibly be true. You're saying tens of millions of cars are EVs. I don't think that's true.
Well, that's what is Googled. I Googled it, and it says that it fell, the overall number of cars on the road fell to 7%. But maybe I
No, I
missed
think
it.
Amy, I think you're talking about sales, annual sales, percentage of annual sales being EVs. Maybe that's what you're talking about. All
It's
right.
it's new
No, I got
registration.
you.
So I just
Yeah,
posted that article that you can
yeah.
look at here.
No,
And
we cleared it up. Let's move on to XAI. XAI.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to bring up my daughter is 12 and she wants a pink Tesla as her first car. And I'm totally open to it, whatever that means when, in the next few years. For me, I'm driving a Ford Explorer and I just ran some numbers here. I guess it's, I'm spending about $3,600 a year on gas and driving 20,500 miles. And I figure it's about 17 and a half cents a mile. So, I appreciate the math you're doing. So per mile, where do you see it costing to drive EV? Thanks.
Is that
So-
for ACDC or me?
Oh, and it doesn't include oil changes, which I do every month. So that's another $1,200. So
ACDC.
right. So I mean, your
till it
Ford.
dies and then truck.
So yeah. So your Ford Explorer is definitely going to be guzzling a lot more gas, and that math will actually work favorably for you. And if you're living in a single family home, it definitely will work well for you because the electricity, and that's where the overnight electricity prices, they really come into play. So I'm actually paying 20% of what I was paying for my gas car previously. Okay, so I have that saving, but it's so for home charging and home use, it's great. It'll save you hands down, right? And I mean, I don't know why you're changing your oil every month, but that's a big expense, even if you're doing it yourself. And that it'll also save you. In terms of maintenance costs, though, I'll push back at Yaman a little bit when he's saying that, oh, there's absolutely no maintenance like ever. Okay, there's clearly maintenances. Okay, we don't even know what issues are going to come up.
You rotate the tires. You put washer fluid. I can do both of those on my own.
Have you ever seen a heat pump fail? Have you heard of it? I've heard of that many times.
How many times?
Many times.
And
do you follow
these
Iowa?
used Teslas, these used Model 3s don't even have a heat pump.
They have some sort of air conditioning and heating apparatus, right? The heat pump is actually even just better. Iowa Tesla guy, who's one of the big guys out there with his content, he literally had to replace it 3 months after his car was out of warranty of 4 years, and he wished he got the extended warranty. I've got multiple people who are Tesla owners in my neighborhood, and with Model S's, the automatic doors has been a big problem, and it costs them X amount of money. There's issues. There's not like it's like zero maintenance. Okay, the Model Y is a new car. The Model 3 is a relatively new car. We haven't even gone into their full 6, 7, 8 year cycle yet, where you find out all the things that do need to be, replaced.
Okay, well, let's look at a Corolla versus Tesla. I mean, who the fuck I'm not gonna fucking compare Tesla to a Corolla. Okay. Let's see. You know what? Let's just
Ford
do
Explorer.
No, let's just do Corolla. That's fine. I mean, Camry is the most popular. Let's do Camry. Camry is the most popular used car sold in the U.S. Okay, so let's do Tesla Model 3 versus Camry. I'm going to ask ChatGPT and do a maintenance schedule by year for 20 years. Okay. Please create. Here's this prompt. Please create a table comparing the annual maintenance schedules of Tesla Model 3 versus Toyota Corolla for years 5 through 20. Okay. Search in the web. Here's a comparative, creating a table. Here's a computer overview of the recommended maintenance schedules for Tesla Model 3. Ah, come on. Give me 1 second. For Tesla Model 3, it's mostly tire rotation. Okay. Year 8, you have a cabinet air filter replacement. And then a bunch of tire rotation, cabinet air filter replacement again. Year 11, bunch of tire rotations again. And then for the Corolla, you have a bunch of oil change, tire rotation, brake pad replacement, cooling replacement, spark plug replacement, tire rotation, oil changes. So you're looking at one second. For Tesla Model 3, $2,500 to $4,000. Toyota Corolla, $5,000 to $8,000. So you have about a few $1,000s of cost savings on maintenance year 5 to year 20.
Does ChatGPT also take into account the tire replacement cost probably being sooner in an EV over an ICE?
I don't see a tire replacement, just a bunch of tire rotations. No, it doesn't.
I don't find that to be true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can look at the weights of these vehicles now. They're about the same. Tesla's, batteries, battery is greater. I want to do Camry. Give me 1 second. Battery is obviously weighs more, but Tesla, the EVs don't have many of the parts that ICE vehicles have. So, Paul, go ahead. Paul Horton, go ahead. You have to unmute yourself for us to hear you. Do you guys see Paul as a speaker?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, it didn't work.
I think he's having some connection issues.
Yeah, if you're having connection issues, audio issues, head over to YouTube.
So a Tesla Model 3 weighs 4,000 pounds, and a Toyota Camry across most trims weighs around 3,000 pounds.
All right, ChatGPT is saying the annual maintenance cost, estimated annual maintenance cost for Tesla Model 3 versus Camry from years 5 to 10 are about the same. Man, these are very different results from the last time I just ran this. Why would it be $1,300 for a Model 3 or $1,000 for a Model 3 year 14? Data for years 13 through 20 are estimated based on trends from earlier years due to lack of specific data beyond year 12. I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. Amy, do you have a Tesla?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have that many miles on it, but as far as tires, I've done really well. I have the original tires on the front.
How many years have you had it?
6.
And have you had any major repair or maintenance issues?
Yeah, I just had a couple things that were odd with the battery. I'm talking about the 12 volt. But other than that, no.
How much did that cost you?
I think it was, I think all told, I probably spent a couple $1,000 on the tires and the one tire replacement and this problem I had with the 12 volt battery.
Yeah. Okay, ACDC, I figured out the issue that ChatGPT was having. So ChatGPT is using Car Edge for maintenance costs, okay? And they only show first 12 years. And after 12th year, it just kind of assumes, and I'm guessing those assumptions are based on ICE vehicles. So let's look at just the first 12 years. Give me 1 second. So according to Car Edge, a Tesla Model 3 will cost about $5,300 for maintenance and repairs during its first 10 years of service. And a Camry will cost $4,455. Come on. The Car Edge is telling me that a Camry costs less to maintain or repair in the first 10 years of service. But Car Edge folks, they don't really, they're just not a big fans of Tesla and Elon, has been my experience. But
How can that be true when you have 4
yeah,
years of complete coverage on a Tesla? You have 4 years where they pay for everything, except for tires, of course, but
That's the same thing for a Toyota too.
yeah.
you don't usually pay everything.
All right, I'm going to go back to ACDC and try to find more data to support my case. But so far, you're kind of, I think ChatGPT and CarEdge at least are agreeing with you that the maintenance costs and repairs costs of a used Tesla would be about similar as a used Corolla and Camry. XAI?
Yeah, thank you. It was just, do you want to talk at all about FSD, or is that not on the table right now?
Yeah, we can talk about ACDC. And also, so ACDC, Gook Wapanji on YouTube says, car edge guys make money selling gasoline vehicles. They're always shitting on EVs and Tesla. This is true. I mean, that's been my experience. And Turto T says, car edge anti-EV, period. Exactly. That's been my experience watching their stuff too. But if anybody on YouTube or X can find data to support the case that Tesla costs less to maintain and repair than a Corolla or a Camry, please leave it in the replies or leave it in the live YouTube live chat. If you're having audio issues on X, head over to YouTube through the link at the top of our screens where the audio quality is better. XAI, go ahead, talk about FSD.
Yeah, just through having conversations with random posts, I kind of came to a revelation. You know, I wouldn't wear my seatbelt if I didn't have to, and I just want to kind of translate over to FSD. Will they regulate us to have to use FSD in the future, or not insure us? Are we going to be forced to use FSD? I guess is kind of my thinking process. What do you think?
Do you mean the government or insurance companies or any other mechanism? You're on mute.
Yeah, no, I think that the same way that seatbelts were regulated onto us by legislation.
Yeah, but that took about tens of, like, that took decades to implement.
It did.
Right.
But
So if, for example, you can prove that over billions of miles that FSD definitely is safer than human drivers, let's say order of magnitude, 10x safer, then maybe. But even then, I think it's going to be very difficult to pass something like that in the US, where people really value choice, ability to choose. So I don't see it happening. So I think something like that would happen first through, like, that's more likely to happen quicker than robotaxis than legislation nationwide. You know what I mean? Like if you can develop robotaxis where, you know, your cost per mile is less than the marginal cost of car ownership, then sure. Okay. So I think you're going to get to 80% adoption quicker than you can pass a law like that in any state, really, let alone federal level.
Can,
Do you
can we
agree
do
with
a
that?
coffee bet?
Yeah, sure.
Uh, uh,
What do
um,
you want the coffee bet to be
I don't-
exactly, though? I
I
need
don't
the
know.
exact
So-
talk.
No, I can't. Won't be. Will it be California? What state? I guess it's just proposing a question for a coffee bet. Is what state will be the first state to mandate FSD?
Dude, it's not going to happen. No, zero chance. By the way, if it happens, when do you think it's going to happen? You think it's going to happen in the next 5 years?
No, I don't think
Well,
it'll be in the next
I
5
don't
years.
want to wait 5 years for my coffee. It's going to get cold.
The rate of change of the rate of change is ever increasing. So
Yeah.
technology advancement happens faster now than it ever has in the past. So maybe they'll push it through very quickly.
It's not going to happen in 5 years. It's not going to happen.
Gen whatever will be afraid to drive a car. They will be taught it's too risky, and therefore FSD will drive for them.
I think the way that it might happen, effectively happen, is more like FSD gets really good, really, really good in the next few years, where it's kind of like, you know, it's you don't have to pay attention, even if it's just ADAS, you know, let's say level 3, kind of like, you know, it gives you a heads up kind of thing. You have to pay attention. At that point, I think it will probably drive sales higher for Tesla. So when FSD unsupervised is introduced, it will probably drive Tesla sales a little higher. But I think that's going to happen over time. But even then, look at Tesla owners today. Most Tesla owners today choose not to use FSD. That's a fact. And it's proven by the number of miles that Tesla discloses quarterly in quarterly presentations. That number of miles hasn't been increasing much. If you just do the back of the envelope calculation, you're talking an average FSD user using it for like a few miles. It's probably more like, you know, 100 to 200,000 people are using it for high mileage. And then most people are just not using it. You have 7 million owners in the US that 7 million owners global, and about 3 million of them are in North America where FSD is, you know, available. And out of the 3 million people, only a couple 100,000 people are using it on let's say, a weekly, monthly basis. So 90% of people are choosing it not to use it. And that's with free trials. Okay, so it's not a matter of price or cost or anything. So we have a long way to go for FSD unsupervised to even be technically feasible. And then on top of that, to be adopted by most people. Even before that, it's impossible to pass any sort of law. After that point happens, you have FSD supervised adopted by 80% of the owners. You're still going to need decades for older people who just don't like EVs. They don't like Elon. They don't like Tesla. Or they don't like autonomy. They don't like robots to die. And then after that, you might have a chance at passing the law. Okay? XAI, go ahead.
No, I mean, you have absolutely spot on thought process there. I don't disagree with you, but I just want to say most drivers today don't want to wear a seatbelt. However, the $10
That's not true. What are you
pen-
talking about?
No,
You
the
must not. Where do you
$10
live? Where do you
penalty.
live? Where do you live?
I live in Wisconsin.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, most drivers, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too safe about these things.
Yeah, I
Look,
mean,
yeah.
how old are you? Yaman, how old are you?
39. I'm 39.
Okay, I'm 47.
Yeah.
I was a
See,
free
we're
range.
waiting for you
free
to,
range kid.
move on to greater pastures. And then it will be mandated, maybe.
Yeah. So no, I just want to. It's a very small penalty. It's
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me get what Amy
And
has to
is
say. Amy,
enough.
yeah.
I
Let's get
was
what
just
Amy
gonna,
It's
has to
enough
say.
to get
Amy, go ahead.
awareness.
I was just going to say that there's so few, as you pointed out earlier, cars on the road, less than what, 1% are even capable of this technology. They're not going to mandate anything. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I think what's more likely is that Tesla insurance gets approved in majority of the states or most states or nationwide, and then it's able to offer some great rates to people. But even that is like many years out, I think. ACDC?
Yeah, I mean, in a country which loves its freedom, independence, and their rights more than anywhere else, I don't think that can ever be mandated. If anything, with decades and decades of a proven technology and wide accepted usage, especially by the newer generations, maybe the car companies actually just stop making non-FSD kind of vehicles. And that's the only way it could come up to there. And that we're talking about decades and decades and I don't know, lifetime ahead. So that's where I think that goes.
All right. Happy birthday to Dan B, a member of the YouTube channel who's got a birthday coming up on the Friday the 13th. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay. Anything else? Let's get some of these comments from YouTube. So if you're having any audio issues on X, head over to YouTube where the audio quality is much better. Smith says, XAI, you got to be insane to not want to wear a seatbelt. Mean Woman says, people allow anything from a private company. One of the main reasons I'm not on the right, they already allow so much unethical oppression from insurance companies already. Okay. Christopher Roberts says, who's also a member of the YouTube channel, there would be a civil war if FSD was mandated. ACDC, to your comment about tires, most Tesla drivers do accelerate and corner harder than ICE cars because they can. That leads to higher tire wear. There you go. Mean Woman says, this is like discussing if using a computer will be mandated. It's mandated by culture or private interest like insurance in this case. I agree. Spiritual T says, iPhones are not mandated. Most want them though. Yeah. Most people want them. 89% of the people will use some sort of advanced autonomy in the future. I don't know if it's going to be all Tesla FSD, but we'll see. Waymo's doing some great things, Waymo would be able to license to other vehicles just as much as Tesla would be able to license FSD. So, and some people debate whether Waymo or Tesla is ahead on autonomy, but Waymo will have to reduce the number of sensors they use, and Tesla will have to improve its algorithms. All right. Anything else? Kevin King says you have to be insane to smoke cigarettes, but people do. Tesla stock is up 5%, $409 per share. Hey, ACDC, have you been able to look at Carvana a bit more? I increased my short position on Carvana this morning. And the stock is down 2%, down 6% in the last 5 days. $50 billion company.
Yeah, Carvana is your meme stock. Where goes the market? There goes Carvana, and it's going to take a hard fall. That's why I told you. Once again, not financial advice. I don't short stocks, but I think that's your best short.
Yeah,
right after
maybe.
MicroStrategy.
Yeah, I think MicroStrategy is up there too. NVIDIA also down 2%, down 4% in the last 5 days, down in the last month. And there's also this like interesting dynamic I've been thinking about too, where a lot of the NVIDIA shareholders, like there's a lot of retail involvement in NVIDIA, that have experienced quite a bit of gains in recent years, and I don't want to pick on Nvidia, but basically, if a meme stock is surging, what happens if another meme stock starts to become more popular on Reddit, Wall Street Bets, or X, or elsewhere? How does that impact? Like, I would be really curious to see correlations between meme stocks on a given month. Anyway, ACDC and then Amy.
I didn't have anything on that. I just wanted to talk about the new Model Q if you wanted to go there.
We'll get back to that. Amy?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, are you short in NVIDIA?
Yeah, I think that was my first short. Yeah, I've been shorting for a while.
Yeah, you called that pretty good then, didn't you?
Yeah, that one I almost
Go
kind of
ahead.
very close to the top. Yeah. I'm thinking of increasing my position on that one because I think, yeah, we'll see. I don't really want to yeah, I have a bit of a system going on. I don't want to really get out of it. So we'll see how it turns out. Luce?
Many people are looking at possibilities in the AI, and the stocks are all overvalued. But few people are looking at the possibilities in the chip manufacturing sector, and the fact that in the future they will have a way bigger geopolitical importance, and they are especially undervalued overall. So I think there is an opportunity there. There is not an opportunity in the high end, like at the end of the line, like like Tesla, etc.
Okay, thank you, Luce. All right, ACDC, go ahead.
I just wanted to talk about the Model 2. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen that, but so I just saw this today, and I'll pin the post here. But they're talking about the cost being 37.5, and then it getting below 30K with the subsidy, which may or may not be there, and most likely not be there. So, what are your thoughts on that? Because I don't see this coming in as a true low value car. I mean, it's fractionally, not fractionally, but not too far below a current Model 3 standard range or rear wheel drive or something. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, the cost will be lower. Of course, I think it's going to be kind of decontented a little bit. It's going to be smaller, and the cost will definitely be lower. Let's say 10, 15% to produce. And I think it's going to take some time to scale. And just like every other Tesla vehicle or every other vehicle in the world has ever. And then, and I think it's going to eat into Model 3 and Model Y demand as well. So those are my kind of highlight comments. Anything else?
When you say the cost is going to be lower, like what do you mean? Like, do you think it's going to start off below 30,000 without the subsidies?
No. I mean, like cost to produce, production cost. Right? Production cost will be very low of that vehicle, especially after it ramps to volume production. I mean, they can bring it down to like $20,000 to produce in China, and then 25,000 to produce in US. So we don't really know much about it so far, though. But it's going to be low to produce, low cost to produce, and then let's say, if there's a production credit or whatever that replaces the EV tax credit, like North America production credit or something along those lines. And let's say Tesla sells about 1 million of them. You're looking at about $5 billion of annual contribution to gross profits. Does that make sense? In the US.
So you think they'll sell 1 million of these.
in US and Canada. Yeah.
How much of that number do you think would take away from the current lineup?
Well, that's the TBD part, right? But I think it's going to be more than Tesla bulls expect.
I think so too. I think this is, you're still catering to the same market. I don't think that you're appealing to a brand new market, which was just striving like, oh my God, I can't get an EV because it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back to our point that if that was the case, these EVs that are priced, the used EVs that are priced below 20,000 would be flying off the shelf. People would literally be just gobbling these things up, but they're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Tesla is having demand problems for Q4 for sure. I mean, if you just go back a couple of years, the management was forecasting 50% annual growth as far as the eye can see. And that took a dramatic turn down. And today we're like trying to achieve 0% growth. And Troy's saying this is probably going to be very difficult to achieve. And Tesla's throwing the kitchen sink at this point. They're giving away FSD for 3 months, free 3 months for supercharging, a bunch of discounts across the board, 0% financing. I mean, what else is left? Elon's going to sign every vehicle next. There's referral bonuses, there's military bonuses. I think a lot of that, like some of that is going to be kind of offset by lower battery production costs in Q4 versus Q3. I think raw material prices have continued to come down quite a bit. And so, I think Tesla will continue to command a very strong market share versus other EV makers, but you're competing against also hybrids and ICE vehicles and people's propensity for change. So I just don't think these things are going to happen as quickly as people think. Anything else?
How long do you think the market keeps pricing the FSD premium into it? Do you think 6 months ahead, if FSD is still, proving itself and we're now moving the timelines on, robotaxi operations in limited cities and everything, do you think that we just still hold at these multiples?
Yeah, I don't think, especially if there's a recession and the interest rates stay high, if there's a recession, I don't think these multiples hold across the board. Like it's not just a Tesla problem, this is across the industry problem. High interest rates affect all capital goods sales, and the entire market is highly priced right now on so many measures. So, yeah, I don't think this is going to last for too much longer. Luce, and then go ahead, AC.
Sorry, I'll just add one quick thing. Sorry. And I agree with that. And I think a lot of that stuff is already priced in because of where we're trading on this multiple. And I see all these people for the first time now, Tesla bulls are quoting every analyst out there in their new price target. And what they don't understand is analysts catching up on their price targets has never been a leading indicator. That's a lagging indicator. These guys always just catch up when the stock's already run up because they look stupid sitting with the research report depicting a 280 price target on it.
Yeah. And we actually went over the Bank of America notes here in this space, and I mean, their balance sheet didn't even balance. So, Luce, and then Jimmy the other.
Few spaces ago, Yaman, you said that a reduction in the interest rates would be more beneficial, like would offset positively, even if the tax credit is going to be removed. I wanted to know your math behind that, because in my
can you
math,
say that again?
So you think that a reduction in interest rates will be a bigger benefit than and will be able to offset the removal of the tax credit, which I don't think so. What is your math behind that?
Well, Lucia, I don't think the EV credit is going to go away and then there's nothing to replace. I think Trump is very close with Elon, and I think they're going to work out some sort of a North American production credit. So, just like if you produce a vehicle in US and sell in US, I think you're going to get the benefit of that from the Trump administration. So I think that's a bit of a wash. Interest rates also impact everything across the economy. So, if your house value goes up, you see home equity rise, and you're more willing to spend money, buy a car maybe, as opposed to some of these like subvented loan rates that are a bit more kind of just very specific, and like EV tax credits, a bit more specific on that compared to a general decrease across the economy in interest rates. And on top of that, not many people were using the EV credits anyway. So, all right, Jimmy the Other, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Let me just first say it is good to be back after almost a hiatus of 8 months. I do believe Tesla is going to benefit massively from the new technologies that are coming in the 220s. I think there's going to be a lot of synergies, and I can see the stock price easily getting to the 2000 area very, very soon, maybe in a few years. So I'm very glad to be back.
Okay, great. Let's leave on that positive note. Thank you very much, everybody. If you haven't been able to listen to it with good quality on audio quality on X, head over to YouTube. You can listen there, and you can listen to the recording from the beginning on YouTube as well. Thank you very much, and I'll chat with you all next time. Take care.